Alright, everybody. The last several weeks we've been watching Moon Knight, the newest Marvel Studios show by the Marvel Studios crew. So, Aiden, what is the plot of Moon Knight?
Moon Knight is an adaptation of the comic. You got a man named Mark Spector who has a split personality that he shares, and they are the avatar of the Egyptian god Khonshu, and are tasked with, beating people up for him. And there's some other guy who's played by the guy who looks like Kevin Bacon.
Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke, yeah. The discount Kevin Bacon. Ethan Hawke used to be the avatar of Khonshu and wants to wake up some other god who wants to kill everyone or something. What'd you think of Moon Knight?
I thought it kind of sucked. The show is long and tedious. Like, it could have probably just been 4 episodes. But on top of that, I've only read the Moon Knight from the early days. And once they start bringing in the mystic shit, it kind of becomes stupid to me. I liked Moon Knight as, like, schizo Batman. Jake Lockley doing his thing, pretending to be a taxi cab driver. He'd pretend to be a rich billionaire, and he was secretly mercenary Mark Spector. And I liked that stuff. He had Moon Knight, and he would just fight random foes, and he was basically Batman. But in this show, they go for the more mythic aspect that later runs would start to adopt, presumably more closely. I don't really know, because I've only read the 80s shit, and I read a little bit of Mark Spector Moon Knight when they start talking about Khonshu and shit more. And, I wasn't a huge fan of it. Like I said, for one, it's kind of boring. It doesn't really know what it wants to be, whether it wants to be a superhero show or it wants to be drama about this schizophrenic guy, and it succeeds at neither while trying to be both. It's shot pretty well, but the CGI is a little clunky, and when Moon Knight shows up, it's kind of fun action, but it's nothing special. It's basically just your run-of-the-mill MCU stuff you just see in like a Captain America movie or something. And I would have preferred a tone more closely aligned with something like Daredevil or Luke Cage or Iron Fist or something like that, or he's more street level and doing shit like that, doing street level shit, because it's just how I see Moon Knight from my experience with the character. So, I don't know, I just thought this Egyptian shit got kind of old, and him meeting weird hippopotamus ladies and shit just didn't grab me. And overall, I just thought most of the show was kind of boring, aside from like the first couple episodes. So, that's pretty much my thoughts on the show so far. So, Aiden, what did you think of Moon Knight?
It's okay. It starts a lot stronger than it eventually finishes. I think the first episode where it's really disjointed because he's swapping back and forth and they miss portions of each other's time is a good intro, but it doesn't really keep up that momentum or interest. I like the interaction between the two halves of Moon Knight as well as Khonshu. I think is fun. Once they hit the middle and they take away Khonshu, a lot of that is lost and it becomes like really dull for a while. A lot of the middle is really kind of dull, the relationship stuff and the I don't know. All the stuff with the Egyptian gods is weird to me.
Yeah, and the relationship's really half-baked between Mark and what's-her-face, Layla.
Yeah, it's also kind of fucking odd, I guess, that like the Egyptian gods are real gods and they can take you to real Egyptian god heaven. It's kind of weird that that's like canon with all the other stuff.
The Egyptians were right, bro.
The Egyptians were right. They were completely 100% right, and then everyone forgot. And then everyone just, I guess, jokes on them when they go to fucking Egyptian field heaven on the hippo boat, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a bit odd, but, you know, the villain guy is also kind of an issue in that I don't get it. He's kind of just like an angry cult leader man, but there's never really like any direct confrontation. Like sometimes they'll like talk angrily at each other when they see each other, but then they'll just like go their separate ways. It's really weird. And then in the last episode, they
Getting a laser fight.
they have an action. Well, they get in a laser fight and have the dumb action for a minute, but then they cut away. It's because the third personality takes over and skip the the actual action of them beating the bad guy. They skip the climax.
Yeah, they do skip the climax
just
in favor of a tease for a season 2 that may or may not happen.
A very,
or movie.
very strange decision.
And also, they try to rationalize how Steven becomes a personality for Mark, but they don't really fucking bother with Jake Lockley and how he becomes a personality. In the comics, it's just like, I'm a crazy person with all these different personalities, and I'm also Moon Knight on the side.
Yeah.
But here it's like...
But all the
they have
personalities in the
rational-
comics also work in tandem with each other.
Right.
And here, the personalities fight over the body, but he consciously created Steven. But then there's a third personality that neither of them knows about somehow that takes over to murder even more people.
Which you think, based on how the Egyptian field heaven works, they would have met Jake at that time. Unless Jake was a new personality, but the implication from Khonshu in the limo is that he's been there.
Yeah, it's odd. And the fucking... Yeah, there's some clunky shit towards the end. I think the kaiju battle with the giant alligator and Khonshu, kind of cool.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
The typical Marvel laser fly around shit, kind of weird. Don't know why Moon Knight gets the ability to fly around like Superman at the end.
Because he's the master of the skies, bro.
I don't know. I walked into it pretty optimistic after the first episode, 2 episodes.
Right, I was pretty willing to let them change up the continuity to do what they wanted, but at the end I just felt kind of underwhelmed and like maybe you should have just followed the source material more closely.
Yeah, no, it feels weird because all of these all the Disney Plus shows have had to like somehow veer into world-ending stakes at the end, or even like, you know, for as much shit as Daredevil and Jessica Jones and whatever get at times. At least those were low-stakes shows that, like...
That's kind of what I liked about Hawkeye, is it was just a bunch of guys.
You think during that part where Khonshu, like, rewinds time 1,000 years and the sun goes at, like, 1,000,000 miles an hour around the Earth, that, like, fucking, I don't know, Doctor Strange or Thor would show up and be like, what the fuck is going on or something? You know? And also, all the other gods are pussies, because... The second the crocodile lady gets out, she just kills all of them. It's really odd. It's strange.
It's kind of weird because then
it's a little contrived, but then
you have Layla just take up her avatar in like 2 seconds and be a viable fighter.
Yeah, and none of the other avatars
and
have like
for
super suits.
some reason makes a Falcon super suit.
Yeah, the Hippo lady gives her a Falcon super suit. Moon Knight gets his super suit. Ethan Hunt doesn't get a super suit, but he has a magic stick, and all the other avatars are just like regular people that don't do anything and then die. It's odd. It's I don't know. It started pretty strong. I was hopeful. They kind of did what they always do and ended it dumb. Yeah. So, yeah, Connor, would you recommend Moon Knight?
No, it's not worth the time investment. The first episode's interesting. There's aspects I don't mind, but a lot of it kind of just ends up going nowhere for me. And it's one of those things where, like, I would have preferred just, like, this edgy, gothic, street-level hero, like the Daredevil show and stuff. Like, I felt like if Netflix tackled Moon Knight, it would have been done a lot better than what Marvel Studios came up with. Because it has to become this big epic with Marvel Studios. It can't just be Moon Knight beating crooks or his crazy brother to death or whatever.
A
Doing
werewolf?
this thing, a werewolf.
Hunting a werewolf for 5 episodes?
I mean, that's what the Werewolf by Night Halloween special is going to be.
I hope so. It might be good, actually.
Yeah. But no, as it stands, like, I don't really recommend Moon Knight. I thought Oscar Isaac's performance was real good. But otherwise, like, and there was potential to the show, I just thought it was floundered, and honestly, it's just kind of boring. So, Aiden, would you recommend Moon Knight?
No. Like I said, it starts strong. It just doesn't feel like it's worth it at the end. And God knows, I mean, at some point it's probably going to tie into some shit, but for now, maybe it could have future potential, but this first season gets pretty rough, so I don't know, I'm going to say no on that one.